Have you ever wondered how a life so full of promise can suddenly collapse under the weight of a single secret? How a young woman, admired, talented, seemingly destined for success, could find herself at the center of a tragedy so shocking, it leaves an entire community searching for answers? This is not just the story of a crime. It is the story of a life interrupted, a secret hidden, and a question that still lingers: why? Laken Snelling was 21 years old. A student at the University of Kentucky. A cheerleader, full of energy and athletic skill, performing under bright lights as part of the university's stunt cheer team. Teammates knew her as hardworking and spirited, a competitor who had given 3 seasons to her squad. Born and raised in White Pine, Tennessee, she carried with her the kind of small-town values many could relate to: close family ties, a supportive community, and dreams of a future that seemed within reach. She studied interdisciplinary disability studies, a major rooted in compassion and service. On social media, she appeared like countless other young women, smiling in photos, sharing milestones, and even posting about her long-term goals, which included the dream of someday becoming a mother. For those who knew her, Laken's world looked steady, secure, and hopeful. She was young, intelligent, healthy, and surrounded by opportunities. On the surface, her story was one of achievement and ambition. But beneath the surface, something else was happening. Something she did not share, even with those closest to her. Pregnancy is one of life's most transformative experiences. For many, it comes with celebration, planning, and the support of loved ones. But in some cases, it arrives wrapped in fear, confusion, and silence. By the summer of 2025, Laken was hiding a reality no one around her seemed to know. She was pregnant. Whether it was fear of judgment, fear of her future being derailed, or something else entirely, she kept it hidden. Not her teammates. Not her professors. Not even her friends knew. The state of Kentucky, where she was living and studying, had one of the most restrictive abortion laws in the nation. Termination was almost impossible under state law, and options were limited. For someone in her position, every choice must have felt like a dead end. But instead of sharing her burden, Laken carried it in silence. And silence can be heavy. On August 27, 2025, police were dispatched to a residence on Park Avenue in Lexington, Kentucky. The report was brief: an unresponsive infant. Inside the home, officers discovered something that would shock them, and later, the entire community. Hidden inside a closet, wrapped in a towel, and placed in a black trash bag, was the body of a newborn. Alongside the infant, officers found cleaning supplies, also placed inside the bag. It was there, in the silence of that closet, that the secret Laken had carried was revealed in the most devastating way. When questioned, she admitted what investigators had already begun to suspect. She was the mother. She had given birth. And she had hidden her child's body away. The medical examiner began their work, though the cause of death has yet to be officially released. What is clear, however, is that the newborn's brief existence ended in secrecy, away from the world that might have celebrated its arrival. 4 days later, on August 31st, police arrested Laken Snelling. She was charged with 3 felonies: abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, concealing the birth of an infant. Each of these charges carries the potential for 1 to 5 years in prison. Her mugshot spread quickly through local and national media. The contrast was sharp: the bright-eyed cheerleader who had once represented her university now staring blankly into a camera as an accused felon. On September 2nd, she appeared in court. Bail was set at $100,000, which she posted. Conditions were placed upon her: house arrest, no ankle monitor, and an order to live with her parents in Tennessee until her next court appearance on September 26th. When news of her arrest broke, reactions rippled through campus and beyond. Some expressed shock. How could someone so admired, so accomplished, find herself here? Others expressed anger. A newborn's life had been lost, hidden away in a bag, and many wanted justice. Still others responded with sorrow, not just for the baby, but for Laken herself, a young woman who seemed to have lost her way, crushed under a secret too heavy to bear. Social media lit up with commentary. Some users unearthed past posts where she had written about wanting to be a mother someday, sparking outrage and disbelief. Others pointed to Kentucky's abortion restrictions, questioning whether the state's laws had left her with nowhere to turn. A deeper, more painful conversation began. What happens when fear collides with desperation? When secrecy replaces support? When a young woman feels she has no choice but to hide? Imagine her voice in those moments, whispered in panic and fear. "I can't tell anyone. Not my parents. Not my team. Not anyone." And then the silence that followed, an isolation deeper than most of us will ever know. For the newborn, there was no voice. No chance to cry, to live, to be seen. 2 lives, forever altered, one ended, one changed beyond recognition, all because a secret was carried too long. The case of Laken Snelling is not just about a crime. It is about the spaces where law, morality, and human emotion collide. Kentucky's laws leave little room for choice when it comes to pregnancy. For some, that feels like protection. For others, it feels like a trap. Laken's story forces us to ask, what happens when a young woman finds herself with no path forward? When fear overrides reason? When shame and silence become stronger than trust and support? As the legal system moves forward, the court of public opinion has already delivered its verdicts. Some see her as a criminal who must be punished. Others see her as a victim of circumstance, a young woman trapped in a system that offered no compassion. The truth may live somewhere in between. There is no way to undo what has been done. A newborn's life has been lost. A young woman's life has been forever altered. A family is left to grapple with shame, grief, and confusion. But there is a lesson here, one we cannot ignore. Secrets destroy. Silence isolates. And when we allow fear to dictate our choices, tragedy often follows. Laken Snelling's story is not just hers. It is a mirror reflecting back to us the weight of stigma, the consequences of silence, and the desperate need for compassion in the places where we least expect it. This is where the story asks something of us. Not to excuse. Not to condemn. But to reflect. What if Laken had felt safe enough to share her secret? What if she had believed she would be met with help instead of judgment? What if our systems, educational, medical, legal, had made room for her fear instead of leaving her cornered? Tragedy does not erase accountability. But accountability should never erase empathy. Laken Ashley Snelling's story is still unfolding. Courts will decide her fate. Investigators will release their findings. But no matter the outcome, one truth will remain: a moment of silence, a moment of hiding, has changed everything forever. And so we are left with the question, how many more lives must be lost to silence before we learn to listen, to care, to respond with compassion instead of condemnation?